So Blockbusted is back.
It is. The infamous
It's really
one
back.
and only. It's trying to come back.
Yeah, we didn't plan to end Blockbusted at all. We didn't plan to do this hiatus. But because I think we've timed this perfectly, I'm going to say that we did plan it. Because you know why? Our last episode was in October, and it was the episode about the Infinity War trailer. Or, no, it was November, I guess. So it was November when the first trailer for Infinity War came out. We did an episode. That was our last episode. And so now our episode back is Infinity War, the movie.
The movie itself.
So some might say that we planned it all in advance, and this was just like, it was like fasting for Infinity War. Does that make sense? You know, like Jesus, before he was about to die, he spent 40 days in the desert just not eating anything. That was us. Before we saw Infinity War, we spent...
Good.
However many months, just, preparing for that.
Blockbuster, back at it again with the Christian allegories,
You know, that does bring up a point, though, which is, here's the thing. Which is, I think this Blockbusted, I think we're in a new era now, right? We're in. Maybe we're talking about this as like, I think there's phase 1 of Blockbusted, which was our kind of getting into it phase. We were making fun of DC all the time, whatever. Then there was phase 2. We got a little bit more lax, but we had some structure still.
Yeah.
I think this is phase 3, where we are, I think this is really, I think we should accept our fate as we're not a mainstream podcast. Nobody listens to this except for fans of Houston Productions 1, I guess. I don't know. And specific friends of ours on Twitter, probably. Like
specific friends in life, all that.
Right, exactly.
The people who we force at gunpoint to listen to this,
Well, yeah, it's part of the job.
It is, though.
I think we should go for a more personal, intimate tone for Blockbusted this season, this phase, Yeah. Because if it's only people who we know personally who were listening to it anyway, we should just accept that and move on.
Get to know them, Just get to know them by helping them get to know us, but never talking to them. So
instead of, back in the old days, my little sister would barge in the middle of a recording, and I'd have to edit that out because it was embarrassing. We'd be like, oh, that's not professional for this podcast. No, you know what? We're leaving it in. This is a new dark and gritty era of Blockbusted, baby. It's called authenticity, and we're leaving in the sister barge in bits. That's what we're leaving in.
That moment in phase 2, if you will, when your mom barged in.
Oh yeah,
still classic, Still get
Remember the one
it.
where I accidentally left in the clip where I yell at her and I say, "You guys keep interrupting my podcast." Good times we've had.
It really is,
on
man.
This,
it really is.
This show. It is funny. We've actually done a good amount of episodes of this. Like,
you don't say. It's like
we make it out like a joke, but we're
24-hour days or something, like just us nonstop sitting in the dark.
It would take you 4 full days. Yeah,
something like that. I don't know.
Oh Lord,
just sitting in the dark in front of our mics talking nonsense. It's
But a few update changes have also been made. I don't know if people have noticed. They probably haven't. But I'm using a new microphone for this new phase of Blockbusted, if you will.
I'm not.
New setup. I hung a blanket on the wall, if you will. That's pretty impressive. No, you're not.
No,
I had to make you get a pillow to put behind your microphone.
I've literally
That's as deep as it gets.
I've literally just set it to one side of my microphone.
Oh no. And that's not balanced. Thanos would ask for balance, man.
Oh,
you need two pillows.
Oh no.
First Infinity War joke in the podcast. Hey. We're back.
Yeah, man.
I thought it was gonna be an awkward kind of getting back into this, but we're just behaving as idiotically as we do normally. Yeah. It's fine. So new microphone, we're going for the authenticity, and then I think if we can keep this,
if all goes as planned,
in motion, if all goes as planned, then we will have shorter episodes. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily like 10-minute episodes, because I think people do enjoy long things these days.
Yeah.
That's what's funny is like, on YouTube specifically, it used to be that you always want to do short stuff. But now people, they like to put on a thing in the background while they eat their lunch or whatever. You know, they like to play stuff in the car. So like,
that's
I
all
think
we are. Is just
long
background,
things are fine.
You know? We're just your background. You know,
we're just your background
noise. We're just your screensaver of life. You know, that's what it is.
Or rather, we're the demons screaming in your head that no one else can hear.
Oh yes, yes.
Oh, but yeah. So I think we're going for a more middle length, like 30 to 45 minutes, maybe more like 30 minutes. You know.
Yeah.
Versus we used to go to like an hour and a half, and I think that's
to
just
2
just
hours.
A
Like we
too
got
long.
some that are
2 hours,
like knocking on 2 hours, man.
Yeah, it's mad. But
someday I'll go back and listen to some of those. You know, just.
Oh yeah. I'll probably play them for my kids. My kids will hate them.
Just get like a flood of memories of like, oh yeah, I recorded that on this day right before this when this happened. I mean, it's
all
insane.
the fan theories that we had that we debunked eventually. That's a classic.
We've got to have some fan theories for Infinity War, honestly.
Yeah, I think I may go back and listen to our first episode on the trailer and see what we got right and wrong, actually.
Yeah.
Because I know I got some of my predictions were right. Some of them were wildly wrong. But, you know. So, and then the last change for this phase of Blockbusted, the last thing to note, is I think we're just getting rid of structure altogether.
Yeah,
you know, like we used to have sections, we used to have freaking news and like all this stuff.
We used to be the Weekly Planet 2.0.
We used to be the Weekly Planet because that's why we did this podcast, because we wanted to be the Weekly Planet. But you know what? We're not doing that anymore. We're just we're going off the rails. We're going to talk about random stuff. We might get into debates about, you know, religion, politics, sex, wealth, all the controversial things you're not supposed to talk about.
Exactly.
All that stuff.
Exactly.
But here we are.
Yeah.
So this episode, what are we talking about?
Well, like you said,
I know we aren't determining topics, but you know,
it's the most poetic moment in history.
We are this time.
You know,
yeah,
ending with Infinity War and getting it back up with it. So it came out. Infinity War, man.
It did come out.
It's a thing, and we're gonna try to talk about it. You know.
I think we are. So again, I don't think we're gonna structure this like a review. But yeah, me and you haven't.
Honestly, you can't review this movie.
No, yeah.
You can't structurally review that. Like, if we're just gonna start out, like, you can't structurally review this thing, because if you try to do that, it's awful.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
See, that was the thing. I recorded. You know, I posted a quote unquote review of the movie on YouTube yesterday. Which I was kind of reluctant to do because, like, I don't know it. People really seem to enjoy these ramble videos that I've done. Yeah, it is a cash grab. It really is. People seem to enjoy these ramble videos that I've done. They liked the Black Panther one, and supposedly a lot of people liked this Infinity War one, which surprises me because I'm just like, they have no editing in them. Yeah. It's just me talking and a couple cuts and like a few clips there. Yeah,
you know, people it's just honestly, people just stay for the background, the backdrop.
They probably do.
I mean, there's so much to study and analyze back there.
The posters on my wall.
Yeah, trying to figure out what goes on in the mind of Houston.
Oh, of course. I should write notes on the wall and they change every episode. Yeah. You have to decode everything.
Suggs would be all over that.
I was reluctant. He would be all over that. That would be a total ARG.
You get your own video series, you know?
Yeah,
good
that would be...
good times.
But yeah, so I was reluctant to review it, and I actually... because I just didn't want to say what everyone else was saying. Same. So I did end up doing it partially because I released my Harry Potter video recently that I spent 2 months working on, and it hasn't gained that much traction. So in all honesty, I did need something that would give me some views and thus money to make up for all the time that now I'm not making as much as I thought I would.
Time I've wasted.
Yeah.
How much does it have?
Because the people who have watched it have really enjoyed it. It's got 15,000 views, which is
not bad.
Not terrible at all. Some people would be really proud of that,
spectrum.
But my Marvel Analyzed video has 900,000 views right now.
I've told you that. I feel like it's gonna pick up steam as like Fantastic Beasts comes out and all that. So
well, and that was I checked how much my Marvel video had in the first week. Yeah. And it was something like 40,000 views or something, and this one had 12,000 by the first week. So it's not crazy different. But if anything, I do think it proved my point from the video that Harry Potter is dead.
It really is, though.
you know, and that Marvel is the king right now.
Yeah, say you release that Marvel video like now, like before Infinity War, it would have gone crazy.
I know.
You know.
I know. I really should have put all my time into redoing that, or like doing a Phase 3 one of that.
Yeah.
You know, instead of this.
What time?
You know what?
I'm
not sorry.
That cuts off at Guardians 2. Your video?
Yes, that one cuts off at Guardians 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, you know.
Oh well.
But yeah, and then I have wondered if, because my Marvel video has all those cameos from different YouTubers.
Yeah.
Most of them are pretty obscure, but a few of them, like Patrick Willems, were bigger names. And so I do wonder, because the Harry Potter video has none of that, if that played into it a little bit. It probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because did they tweet it out or anything?
Factor. I don't think. I think some of the smaller ones did.
Yeah.
I don't think Patrick did or anything like that. Which, you know, no hard feelings. But you know.
Oh, but a ton. You know.
But yeah, but still, I think maybe just having their names associated with it, and then people are more likely to share it and stuff.
Definitely.
So yeah, but I'm not sorry for making the Harry Potter one.
I
think
it's a really
even though
good video.
it doesn't have that many views, it's the comments for it have probably been the most enthusiastic and
people
that
love
I've had
it.
in quite some time, where people are saying, this reminded me why I loved Harry Potter when I was a kid and stuff.
My Latin teacher was a fan too. I sent it to her.
Oh, very nice.
Yep.
Probably liked when I talked about all those Latin root words.
Oh, exactly. And all that Christian
good.
allegory, you know.
Of course.
I love it.
But back to Infinity War.
Yes.
So, you know,
Sure,
I released a review, but the thing is, what you said, which is that it's hard to review, that was partially my focus. I didn't even focus on the movie nearly as much as I thought I would. Most of the video is about me saying that it's hard to review because it's, to what I said in the video is it's not a film, it's an event, you know? So, yeah, what, you know, not to structure this again.
Yeah, exactly. But no, like, I saw it for the first time, and I came out just like, I mean, you come out just like, what?
You seemed very baffled.
What? Yeah, seriously. I felt like, well, that was great, but it really wasn't that great, because, you know, like Ralph said, it's not saying anything, you know, it doesn't have a particular voice necessarily, you know, it's not like saying something on the same level as like Black Panther or even Civil War for that matter, you know, it's just an event, and it's just this collaboration of this combining 10 years worth of filmmaking, you know, into one. So it's something that's never been seen before. It's something that I wasn't expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting this, you know. I was expecting something much more along the lines of Civil War or something like that, you know. But it was just, you come out and just like shocked, like, whoa, because it's amazing, but like, look at it as a film. Like I was thinking, there's no development of any of these characters except maybe spare some for Thanos, you know. There's not Thor, I guess, little, but I mean, it's just it's a very just blah weak script, you know. But like it works because you've spent 10 years watching all these characters.
Well, and I think, you know, to call it a weak script is to some degree a disservice because while like. It's a feat that they did this, you know, not even just it's a feat that Marvel made this movie, but it's a feat that they balanced all these storylines in the script, you know, where, like, you put this in the hands of the people who made Justice League. Imagine. I think Red Letter Media said in their review, DC could never make a subplot about building a hammer as interesting as Marvel made it.
So true, though. And I cannot believe that Steppenwolf and Thanos came out within a year of each other.
Now, I could believe that Proxima came out the same year as Steppenwolf. I did not think she looked too good, but still, Thanos was incredible.
Still, man. Thanos was like photorealistic at times.
Yeah. I think we'll just talk spoilers. We'll probably put that in the title.
I sure hope so.
Yeah. But I think there were a few things that like caught my interest as far as what it has to say. I think.
Oh yeah, it's not saying nothing, but it's not just. I mean, it's not saying it to the degree of those other films.
It's not nearly as politically relevant as something like Black Panther or Winter Soldier. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have a message per se.
Nah.
It does have themes,
though. Sure.
One of the themes that I really enjoyed was, I mean, all the characters throughout the movie are faced with sacrificing someone they love for a greater purpose, basically. And almost all the time, the characters do things to avoid, basically, they do things to avoid making the hard choice. So the whole Wakanda battle is because they don't want to kill Vision, and so they're avoiding doing that, you know.
Yeah.
And same goes for they don't want to give up there were a few other examples where they don't want to kill Vision, and then wasn't there something else? There's someone else that they don't want to kill.
Oh yeah, what was it? I swear it was. It'll come in time, right?
Yeah, but
I don't know. I can't remember.
This was a lot better when I wrote it in a tweet yesterday, and now I'm forgetting what made me say it. But I also read a tweet that said this as well.
Okay.
Someone put it in better phrasing than I did.
Okay,
I'll just read that because I screenshotted it because it was so good. Here it is. So it's a person who said, this is at Damek1214. The entirety of Infinity War is the heroes making decisions based on emotion, preventing them from doing what would necessarily need to be done.
Yeah.
Thanos makes decisions based on what he needs to do, even if his emotions conflict with that, right?
Exactly.
So
Star-Lord,
they're not willing
beats
to
up Thanos.
Yes, exactly. He kind of sabotages that. The other one that I was thinking of was there's two different variations with Gamora, right? Where Gamora asks Star-Lord to kill her, and at first he kind of refuses, and then he does eventually do it, but it doesn't work. And then obviously Thanos does eventually sacrifice Gamora to get the Soul Stone because that's what he has to do. That's like his greater purpose.
Yeah, Doctor Strange talking about trading lives and all that for the Infinity Stone, you know.
Right,
as well.
Exactly. There's this theme of trading lives for things and the heroes not being
it's
willing
almost
to do
like
that.
what like matters.
But then the guy who is willing to do that
exactly.
is the one who wins.
Like what matters versus like the materialistic wants of the human, you know.
Right.
Like the egotistical. Right. That's Thanos' whole thing, you know. He just...
Well, and of course the even bigger thing is Thanos is willing to literally kill off half the universe to save the rest.
Yeah, which is
the biggest life trade of all.
Exactly.
But I think what's even more interesting to that theme is that the one hero who manages to do something that theoretically will save them in the end is Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Who is willing to give up the Time Stone, which is a hard decision because he knows that it will, in the long run, save them somehow. Or at least that's the speculation.
Crazy.
You know? Yeah.
For sure.
But that's I thought that was an interesting theme.
Oh, definitely.
Again, yeah, you're right. There's not a whole lot here.
But yeah, if there is one, that is definitely it. I picked up that immediately after watching the film. You know, it's not like I didn't come out like, wow, like, oh, like Black Panther, that was saying a ton, you know. I felt
right. Yeah.
But this was it said that, but other than that, it was very just kept down, you know. Which I feel like it could have, and if it did, it would have had a huge impact, but it didn't really need to, you know. Like, because they have all these other films that do just as good, if not a better job than this could ever do, you know.
Well, yeah, and see, that's what I said in my review, is that, like, for better or worse, Marvel has been setting up for this, you know. This is... this is not... it's almost like, you know, they've been setting up for this, but this isn't the substance. You know, like, this is the spectacle, but the substance has been in the setup.
Yeah,
right?
It's crazy.
They had to put all their substance into the origin movies and the solo movies and everything so that they could have a big, fun, non-substance movie, for better or worse. But, like, I don't blame that on the writers, like, on them not trying. I just think that's the pitfall of this, where... in order to have a movie with 60 million characters, you do sacrifice giving each of them arcs and stuff like that. So, like, I think this is Marvel's best event, but I think, to say that it's their best film, I disagree with. Because I think something like Winter Soldier, which isn't as ambitious as Infinity War, it's not as spectacle, it's not as fun, perhaps, but... it has more time just in premise alone to focus on Captain America, and I think it's a better film because of that. It's not that, like, they did something wrong here and that's why it's not as good as Winter Soldier. It's just that Winter Soldier is a movie about one character, and so they have more time to focus on that character, and I think that's what makes a film.
Yeah,
great,
and the only reason that, that's what makes a film great, and that's partly why I love movies too, is that you do get that individual character development, which makes them therefore. I mean, it's so easy to relate to that kind of character, and this movie would have never worked if they didn't have 10 years worth of that,
Right.
So that's the only reason that this thing is even is as good as it is because that development's already there. You can already relate to these characters within the situation that they're put in,
right?
Yeah. And so it's just amazing that they've been able to do that. More than anything, it's just amazing that they were accomplished such a feat, because it's never been seen before, which is just crazy. So, I mean, they've done it with all.
But at the same time, I think they I just lost track of what I was going to say.
Stymied.
You were saying about giving care. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So at the same time, I think there are some people who would say that they think this is a better film because it's more ambitious and it lives up to that ambition.
Yeah.
And that I think it is a matter of personal preference.
Oh, for sure.
Me and you would lean towards intimate character growth and character study and everything is what makes a great film.
Except for the case of
Dunkirk. There are some people instead of Dunkirk. But there are some people who would say that they think this is Marvel's best film, and I had some perfectly valid comments in my review of people saying this is Marvel's best film because it's the most ambitious and it lives up to that ambition, and it's a spectacle like
just
none
a
other.
matter of ways that you decide to look at things,
Right. Either way, I think it's terrific.
Oh, for sure.
I really, really like it. But I think it's terrific in different ways than the other Marvel films
are.
I
mean, it's nothing that's ever been seen, something that's built upon 10 years worth of building, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So,
what did you think of who were your favorite
characters? Yeah. Geez, I don't. I mean, Iron Man. I feel like Iron Man. Peter Parker, Peter Quill. I mean, I guess Iron Man, the Guardians. Oh, jeez, no, I don't know. There's just so many. I think, I think Gil'll say the same. But Thor and Gamora were definitely the most. Yeah. Two of the most, just obvious ones that had the most screen time and all that. But I also really ended up liking Thanos as well, a lot more than I thought I would. Because you understand where he's coming from, yet you just hate him. It's.
Did you understand where he was coming from? Did you
to some degree?
You understand why he would make this?
Yeah, because he was. I mean, I saw it as. Yeah, he saw the world as being finite and wanted. He's more of a ambition, looking to the future kind of guy. I don't know. It's so weird because I don't feel like he was looking at his intentions that evil because he thought he was right, He didn't think he was doing any wrong. He thought he was because he has that one line to Gamora where all the children nowadays on her home planet have known nothing but full bellies or whatever. Yeah. And he sees that as a win, Sure, you have to wipe out half the planet, but still, which... I guess his motivation for in the moment did, but why he wanted to do that, why he was so set on doing that didn't make too much sense. If that makes sense.
Right. See, I think it works on paper. Just for me personally, I thought it didn't quite work for me as much as I hoped it would. Sure. It's fine. But yeah, I think, I've had lots of people try to explain it to me and be like, this is why you don't get it. And I'm like, no, I understand. Yeah. I get it. I just don't think it works.
Sure.
I think that I just don't understand his drive for this.
See, yeah, I guess I'd have to agree. I understand, his thinking, I guess, but, why he's thinking that way, I don't.
Right. I think it would have been better if they set him up a little bit more as an obsessive madman.
Yeah, sure.
They make him seem fairly sane.
Oh, for sure.
But really, I think he's supposed to be, on paper, more of an obsessive, I'm just trying to redeem what was taken away from me, and bring balance to the universe, where... I don't get the sense that he's obsessive like that, and that's why he does this. If I'd gotten more of that sort of unbridled obsession, then I think I would have
for sure
understood.
Or
it a
even if
more.
There's something that indicated that he saw, because there's no clear indication that any other planet is struggling due to like finite resources.
Right,
you know?
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
Like,
where
Titan, sure, yeah, he saw that, but he got rejected. But like, what made him think and feel that way about the rest of the universe? You know, has he been everywhere, seen it all?
Exactly.
You know, and so I feel like there could have been some better drive.
He says that happened about Gamora's planet.
Yeah.
That they were on the brink of starvation or whatever.
I mean,
but
it looked like a pretty nice planet to me.
It did look like a pretty nice planet. I feel like there was a lot more. I think my problem was just there was a lot more telling than showing in his backstory.
Sure.
We never see his planet, you know, starving or any of the actual events of what happened.
Yeah.
We just see his little mirage that he shows them of how it looked before and then after. You know, we don't see any of the stuff in between. We don't see his personal, like, the people he lost or anything like that. We don't see, again, what you said. We don't see what makes him think he needs to cure the entire universe. Like, I realize that statistically this is probably a problem everywhere, but like, seems like Xandar's pretty okay. Seems like Earth could use a little bit, but we're doing okay. Chill, you know, like I just don't see why he sees this as like, this is my quest. Exactly. I need to solve this. Especially since, and I said this in my review, he, like, why does he care what happens to anyone else when it seems like he's not a person who has empathy for other people? You know? Yeah. Like, he's perfectly willing to kill people and stuff to further this. It's not necessarily hurting him either,
you know? Like, it's not giving him a throne.
He could go and retire on his farm, whether or not this happens. But again, I think it's supposed to stem from, like, he failed once and he's not going to fail again. Yeah. And he's just a madman because of that. He's like, it happened to my planet, and no, I've got to do this. And that's the quest that he set before himself. So I think on paper that works. I just think it could have been better communicated that he's kind of crazy. Yeah, for sure. That's like, and that's why. Not that, like, being crazy is really that great of a motivation. Like, you always know it's a semi-weak villain if if you say, like, why did they do that? And the person goes, it's just because they're crazy. Like,
for sure.
Oh, okay. Even someone like the Joker, you know, he's crazy, but you still understand why he does what he does, and he makes very intentional decisions. For sure. But yeah, I don't want people to take it like I didn't like him a lot, because I thought he was really good.
Really good and terrifying. So.
What you said about the throne thing was one of my favorite things, is that he's not bent on world domination. Nah. Like, he doesn't care.
You would
he
think
just wants to go live alone on a
he
farm.
Would use that as world domination to rule the universe, you know?
Right.
But my man just want to chill on his farm, you know?
He just wants to chill on his farm. Yeah. I really like that. I do like that he's... there were some moments in the movie that I really enjoyed where he comes across as, like, just a normal dad.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There's a bit, I forget when it is, but he, like, he slaps his knee and laughs at Gamora or something. And like, good. Yeah, he really does seem like a normal guy almost, who's
to some degree,
going after this quest to some degree. Yeah. Like, I remember one of the bits that I really enjoyed was when he and Gamora go to the Soulstone planet, Vormir, and, like, the Red Skull, what an amazing reveal. Yeah. Red Skull, like, is like, are you prepared? And he, like, steps forward and he's like, I am prepared, or whatever. Yeah. And I'm underselling it here, but to me in the movie, his face in that scene and everything conveyed so much, like, almost this false sense of security where he's, like, puffing out his chest and he's like, I'm prepared for this. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but Josh Brolin's performance here is really nuanced, and I really, really like it. Sure. He conveys, I feel like he does feel vulnerable in some senses.
100%. Especially in that scene, you know?
Especially in the Gamora scene, yeah. I really, really enjoyed his portrayal here.
Yeah, I mean, he was done. Like, I'm not a huge, like, I've never read any Thanos comic whatsoever, but, like, like, I cannot see fans being displeased with this, just because the performance-wise, it's done so perfectly, you know, in every aspect, you know, so hats off to Brolin for sure.
So, what did you think about the ending? I don't think we've really talked about this, me and you.
Yeah, it's, again, I was taken aback, like, what? What just happened? You know, a little bit confused, I guess. For some reason, I guess the first time I didn't catch that he snapped.
What?
It was seriously, I was like, I wasn't quite sure what happened. I don't know. Like I said, my theater was just bonkers the whole time.
Oh yeah.
So
Forgot about that.
like,
what did you say happened? What was the deal
I guess
with the theater?
yeah. So like, for one, it was recliners and everything, but it felt like once you reclined back, your head was on like level with the very bottom of the screen. So you're almost looking up, which I know it's definitely been exaggerated in my head on the afterthought. But but yeah, there was that, which was odd. There was this like very dim light that was shining right behind me. That was like some emergency light or something. That was very annoying.
That's weird.
The audience was dead. If we're being honest, there was no not too many cheers. It felt like a bunch of 40-year-olds.
That really does surprise me, because you all have reserved seats that you presumably most people had bought ahead of time.
You would think. But, very chillax. And then the biggest thing was just the audio. It felt very just quiet, which is very annoying.
Nothing takes me out of a movie like quiet audio. I've been to some friends' houses where we'll put on a movie and they have it at like really low volume on their TV. And like, I'm just like, what? How do you watch movies like this?
Exactly.
When I watch a movie in my house, it's like full blast almost. I turn it up to like 80% or something on my TV.
For sure.
And the same thing when I saw I think I told you about this when I saw Black Panther a second time back in, or a third time probably back in February. I went to one of the local theaters near me, which is like smaller, and it's Georgia Theater Company, so it's not as like fancy and stuff. And we went and saw it, and I'd already seen it twice at that point, so I knew kind of the beats that were supposed to be loud and stuff. But it was so quiet. It was so quiet, and I was like, "What's going on?" So like even the action, or the music swells and stuff, where I was supposed to hear the score in full blast, were like just really muted, and I was like, "Ah," because it was all, the reason why was it was all coming out of the just the front speaker. There was no surround sound. It was not coming out of any of the side speakers.
For sure.
So I went out and I talked to the manager twice, and I was like, "Can you please turn up the sound?" And nothing happened either way, because he walked into the theater and was like, it doesn't sound bad to me. And I was like, okay.
Very nice.
But so eventually what happened was we were in like one of the smallest auditoriums in that theater. That theater has like some really small ones and then some really big ones. So we had been to the 9:30 show, and finally I walked across the hall to the 10 p.m. show, and it was in a much bigger auditorium with much louder speakers. And I was like, let's just go over here. So we went across the aisle and, saw the first 30 minutes of the movie again.
That's great.
And it was much louder and much better.
Great.
So
you gotta love it, man. But
yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I saw that. I think that's partly what detracted, like, because that snap that he does, it's. I mean, it was. I went back and saw it in RPX Regal, and it was a bang, dude. It's sound really plays a huge part in these. Much people don't give it enough credit, But yeah, so I think that was partly reason, because like the first time I was like, wait, what just happened? I was very taken aback. But second time definitely deserved multiple rewatches. But yeah, I mean the ending and all, it was a shocking ending. Once Black Panther disappeared, I knew it wasn't gonna stick, which is I was like, okay, well, I mean we know it's not gonna stick, but whatever, it's still. If anything, I think we'll both want to talk about this. It's a smart move by Marvel, It's people are calling it bold. Like even one of my friends, he says, "What a bold move, killing." I'm like, but not really.
I mean, I think killing Gamora was a bold move.
Oh yeah, that was bold,
like,
for sure.
As long as she stays dead, please. I hope. But yeah, like the ending, people are like, "This is the biggest risk Marvel's ever taken," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, sure." What's interesting is Spider-Man: Homecoming 2, when doesn't have a title yet, will be coming out in July of 2019, 2 months after Avengers 4.
Oh shoot!
So how are they going to market it without revealing that Spider-Man's alive? I don't know. Like
they gotta move Infinity War up. Right?
Yeah, maybe.
It has to be moving up, because they got no Star Wars this end of the year.
I thought about that. Wouldn't it make sense to have it at the end of this year? I don't know if people will have Marvel overload by then. Probably not, because there's still a significant amount of months in between. The only problem is you would then have to move Captain Marvel up as well, so that it's even earlier. Because
I don't know. I feel like you could pull a Black Panther with Civil War kind of move.
What do you mean?
Introduce Captain Marvel into Avengers 4.
Well, but
because it's a time
you're
jump
saying
anyway.
Change the order in which they come out. Like
I feel like it would. I mean, it worked so well with Black Panther. You know.
I think the entire. I just don't think they're writing it that way. Like I think they're writing it like
leading
they
up
wrote
to
Captain America in the Avengers, where
but,
it depends on his introduction.
Don't we know about
the
like
first Avenger.
the scrolls and it's all that jam? Like
Yeah.
it's gonna have its own. I don't know. I
mean, only time will tell if it sets up Avengers 4, but I'm sure it'll play somehow into it. I mean, it's going to show how she presumably went into space or something, wherever she is when Fury calls her at the end and stuff. Yeah. I don't know.
Who's to say? Who's to say she's not dust?
But yeah, people are saying it's such a bold, risky move, and I'm going, okay. I don't think it's risky because all these characters are coming back, and we know they're all coming back.
Yeah.
I also don't think they're going to pick and choose. Like, some people are like, well, we know Spider-Man and Black Panther are coming back, but the others we don't. And I'm like, I think they're all going to return. It's going to be all or nothing.
No, for sure.
And it will be all, not nothing. So, yeah, I don't think it's risky, but I do think that it's smart because they are essentially, for Avengers 4, narrowing the playing field and getting rid of all the unnecessary characters like Drax and Mantis and all these and you know who else? We don't even really need Groot. We don't need I just named all Guardians like.
Well, I mean the Guardians are gone.
Yeah.
We're going to have no Guardians.
Other than Rocket.
Other than Rocket, yeah, but I think it'll be fun to see cuz they've narrowed it down to the big four, you know.
Right.
Really, that's
what
it's going to be.
You know, all the original 6 Avengers were left, plus
for sure.
Rocket and War Machine and Nebula, I think, are the only others, and Okoye. So
it's an odd pairing for sure, but I feel like it's smart on their part because they've narrowed it down where it's much more manageable now.
Well, right, it's more manageable. I think they recognize that this is a great event, but they need to get more intimate again because of people like you and me who are complaining that there's not enough time for character development.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny that like when the first Avenger movie came out?
I'm not necessarily complaining about it, but I think if they do it again, it'll start bugging me.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
I think this is a good one-time thing or once every 10 years thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's just have a good time, shall we?
Isn't it funny that when the first Avengers came out, people were like, how are they going to balance all those characters? And now we're going, get back to 6 characters. It's so easy to balance.
I know. It's crazy, man.
But yeah, I mean, it does make sense where most of their contracts are ending. Most of them are leaving except for a few. So it's probably going to be their swan song where all these Avengers kind of have their one last movie to be the team again, and then most of them exit. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's for sure. I mean... What a way to
I don't
end
think
their
it's risky,
career
but I think it's smart.
Yeah, for sure. And their
Who
career...
do you think will stay? Like, of the original 6? Versus die or retire?
Okay, after 4? I don't know, man. I feel like Captain's got to go.
Yeah.
I feel like he's scrapping by the end of this.
Will it be Cap and Tony, or will it be Cap or Tony?
I don't know.
Yeah.
See, I feel like if they do Tony, I mean, maybe they'll do both, but I feel like, jeez, I don't know. It's so hard.
We've had so many Tony Stark death fake outs and like sacrificing himself things.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll do that again, especially after this one. But then again, at the same time, we've also had a lot of Tony Stark retires things in the MCU. Point. He's retired like 5 times in the movie series. So, like, I don't know if they'll do that again. So, I don't know. I do think Cap is pretty safe to assume could die, though. The one character who I think, honestly, may stay is Thor. Because I think they finally reached that happy medium with his character.
They have.
They've finally reached that melting point where everyone really likes him now. And he's not the most unliked Avenger. And Taika has talked about coming back for another movie, maybe, and people loved him here. So, like, I think he's gonna join Guardians for Volume 3 if Volume 3 is set after this movie.
Yeah, you know? for sure.
So
I totally see. I mean, he totally works as a Guardian, you know, and his his sudden, very abrupt mood change totally fits in right with them, you know. So
right. Well, and that was, I think I tweeted this, was follow me on Twitter for all my tweets before I say them in a podcast. Yeah. I think what I liked about Infinity War with Thor's character was I wasn't a fan of Ragnarok, really.
yeah,
It's fine. It's grown on me a little bit, but it's fine. But I think what Infinity War does that's cool is it takes the abrupt mood change that Thor has in that movie, where he's like all of a sudden happy-go-lucky and whatever, and it makes it seem as if that's like an act that he's putting on to hide his pain, you know? And I loved that about his performance in Infinity War, where
that is a really good point. Yeah,
like,
I hadn't thought about it that way.
Yeah, like specifically the scene between him and Rocket in the pod, I thought was so masterfully done, where Rocket asks him, he says, "Dead brother, that can be annoying," and Thor's like, "Well, he's been dead before, but this time I think it may really be true." And then he like slowly recaps everyone in his life who's died. His father died. His mother was stabbed by a dark elf. Heimdall was killed. All these people were stabbed in the heart. And like he starts, a tear runs down his cheek, and then he just shakes it off, and he's like, "But it's fine. It's fine. We're all heroes." And I was like, that's heartbreaking, you know?
That is a good point, because, like, he does, I feel like, at the beginning of Thor, he is very just locked down and serious to some degree, you know? Right. But once Odin dies, he does kind of spiral and just start going goofball, you know? And, I mean, that's one of the things that we've criticized Thor for, but now you put it that way, and it totally makes like, oh, maybe Taika Waititi really is a genius, you know?
Maybe he's a genius.
He's a genius. It's all planned.
I think this was sort of post.
Heck yeah.
You know, but yeah,
it is
The
cool.
thing
it's
that made
cool
me
to
happy
think
about
of
it was that
things,
my biggest criticism of Ragnarok was that they don't address the fact that his entire planet has been blown up and his father died, and it's just jokes all the way through. This movie finally addresses that, the fact that he's been through a lot of suffering in his life and has maintained this hero persona, which I thought was pretty great. That was why I loved him in this movie.
Definitely highlight.
And why I would love to see more of him in the future.
Yeah, man. People clapped. They clapped when he came on screen the second time.
That's the best moment in the movie, man.
They clapped.
It's
they
so
clapped
good.
They clapped.
I clapped when I saw it.
Yeah, that was great. The second viewing, there were several cheers and claps during Cap's arrival, Thor's arrival. There was one other. Who else has a big moment? It might be when
Doctor Strange does all the mind tricks. It's pretty awesome.
I think there were a few woes, but there was one. I feel like there's one other big moment that my theater clapped at. It was either when Iron Man was suiting up for the first time.
Oh, that was when mine clapped at that. Of course, mine clapped at everything.
Maybe when Hulk showed up and started beating up Thanos.
Oh,
that might have been it. That was fun.
I like that they got that out right out of the gate.
Yeah, because people, like, I remember speculating about that. Like, dude, it'd be so cool to see Hulk and Thanos just go at it, you know? It'd be so cool. And, like, it would be cool, but it'd go like this, you know? So, super, super cool.
Yeah, I saw it in IMAX on Thursday night.
Yeah.
And that was all the hardcore fans. Like, it was people. There were some people in costumes. Some people had brought Infinity Gauntlets, shirts galore. When the Made in Georgia logo came up in the credits, everyone cheered like heck. But yeah, that was a very awesome crowd to see it with. Everyone was cheering at the character moments and stuff. I have seen some people who hate cheering in movies. They're like, "How dare you cheer?
I hate it,
disrupting the experience." Degree. And then some people who hate laughing, like they're like, "The audience around me laughed at every dumb joke. Oh, I couldn't believe it." And I'm going, what do you do? Or I'm imagining just this mental image of you in a theater, sitting in your seat. Everyone around you is laughing and cheering and having fun, and you're just grimacing with your arms folded, and you're like, these people are all mainstream idiots. And I'm going, just lighten up. Good Lord.
I don't mind laughing at all, you know. I think that's it's a real fun time. Cheering to, like, some movies, like, yeah, whatever. But, like, dude, like if it's Star Wars and like Marvel, these huge franchises, like come on,
it's an event. It's a
people
spectacle.
are gonna get excited. I remember seeing Force Awakens and it going crazy when Star Wars logo appeared. You know, and it just, I mean, it made it that much better. So
yeah, it was funny. I saw it opening night when the Marvel logo came up. No one cheered, but then I saw it again on Saturday night in an IMAX theater again. And funny thing was, the first night I saw it in IMAX at one close to my house. It was pretty big. But then I saw it in IMAX at one downtown, and it was like 10 times bigger. So there's a difference in IMAX screens for sure, because it was huge. And the sound was better as well. But yeah, so that time when the Marvel logo came up, one guy in the front row shouted, "Let's go!" or whatever.
Nice.
And everyone in the theater laughed and then started clapping.
Good,
and that was what was funny was the first audience on Thursday was very much the hardcore fans. You could tell. They all had you know, Marvel gear galore. But then the second audience on IMAX on Saturday night, you could tell it was a lot more just normal, like, mainstream people who were coming to see it. But they were pretty much just as enthused about it as the hardcore fans were.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and also it was mostly black, so when Black Panther faded away, they were like, "What? Oh no!" Like people shouting in the theater and everything. It was so funny.
That's good. Super good.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. That's what I really do love is that.
Oh, for sure.
For one, this is a spectacle. It's everybody. But also, what's crazy awesome about this is mainstream people like your grandma, and from your grandma to your cousin to everyone else to the people you know at work are watching this crazy, wacky comic book movie about a talking raccoon and a giant dwarf. Like,
oh, for sure, man.
And it's selling, and people love it. It's the biggest opening weekend of all time, you know?
Oof.
Did you hear about that? Did you hear about, the numbers? Oh,
absolutely insane. Well,
bigger than The Force Awakens.
Yeah, it's like right in its opening, like, first 2 or 3 days, it made, like,
almost as much as Justice League made in its entire run.
Justice League. Like, that's just, I mean, that's going to say something. That this build-up that they have done is insane. It's meant so much to so many, you know, which, it was just such a fun time just seeing it all come together like this, you know. And I can't wait for part 4. I think it'll be much easier to judge this thing once the story's complete, you know, once it's wrapped up.
It is good on them for, I questioned their strategy, and I still kind of do, about not really marketing the fact that this was a part 1 of 2.
Yeah, for sure.
But they left it on a cliffhanger, and I think word will spread that there's going to be a part 2 in May.
I think I mentioned to my friend, like, oh, it much nicer to when part 4 comes out, and he's like, what? I'm like, Avengers 4, it's the second part. He's like, oh, okay.
Well, that was my mom.
I mean, he
saw
loved
it
so.
one of the nights, and she was very confused by the ending. She was like,
She's like,
what?
Why?
I thought
it just ends like that. Yeah, Avengers, you know.
So
Captain,
it was odd marketing.
Yeah,
but I guess they intended to surprise people. Maybe
they gotta have something going though. They gotta have something. Kevin Feige is a mastermind.
Oftentimes, I question. I think I give mainstream audiences a little. I don't give them enough credit, where I think that unless I tell them, they'll never know that Avengers 4 is happening.
Exactly.
But like I watched it happen in the theater, where the movie ended and then the Captain Marvel thing came up, and immediately people started whispering between themselves, "Oh, Captain Marvel is coming out," and they also had Google at their disposal to figure everything out. So
perfect.
I think word spreads fast enough, even if
for sure.
you aren't marketing it, because people can just search. What was the end credit scene of the Marvel movie?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I enjoyed that.
100%.
Any other things? I thought it was all balanced really well. There was never a boring moment. The visuals, incredible. Probably. Do you think this is Marvel's best movie? Best movie visually?
I think so, just because of the amount that they have and the consistency with how good they are.
Yeah, obviously it's up in contest with Guardians Volume 2.
For sure. I mean, combine that with some great Russo brother action, it's just phenomenal. You know, it makes for some of the funnest action sequences in the MCU, so.
That Thanos, everything involving Thanos was like low-key art. Like,
it was great.
When he's on Vormir and the whole throwing Gamora off scene was
probably
beautifully
one
done.
of my favorite scenes was when they attack him on Titan.
Yeah.
Just because it's so fun, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's turning the missiles to birds, and then Doctor Strange turns into butterflies, and Doctor Strange does all his weird crap, it's so good. So
that was one of my complaints early on. Some people was that specifically with their battle on Titan, I thought it just didn't look very visually picturesque. Like, if that makes sense, like. Sometimes you could freeze a frame from a movie and hang it on your wall, no matter what it is. That's like a Wes Anderson movie. Or like, even to me, I feel like the first Avengers has a lot of that, at least in the New York battle, where the New York battle has a lot of picturesque, like, awesome team shots and everything that look great. The battle with Thanos was just, it looked visually. There was a lot of weird stuff going on, and like just CGI and everything, where people were doing flips and like throwing energy beams and stuff, and Mantis is getting on top of his head and everything. So
I love it.
At first, I was kind of in my review. I said this. I was like, it just looks weird. There's some of this that just looks odd and not very picturesque. But someone did comment that I thought was a very fair statement, that this fight is a lot more desperate than the Battle of New York. Like,
heck yeah.
And the sort of non-picturesque images where they're all like struggling with him rather than just beating him in these awesome team shots reflect their desperation. So I thought that was a good explanation for that.
That was a good point for sure.
Yeah.
Super fun.
What else? Lots of. I mean, I think some of the action gets a little stale. Specifically, the Battle of Wakanda, I thought could have been a little bit better, but. The reason that any of it works is that it's all got these fun character beats within.
For sure.
And it does have a bit of a flow to it, where it's not just them fighting. It's kind of an all is lost moment. Then Thor shows up and he wreaks havoc, and then Thanos shows up. It's got a flow to it, at least, of things occurring and getting worse and better and stuff, as well as they gave them the children of Thanos for sort of to give them mini victories within the battle, where. Even though they're going to lose in the end, we still get to see them win a few times by defeating the children and stuff.
Super well done. Yeah, 100%.
What did you think of them?
I thought they were good. It served their purpose. Nothing too big, but
I didn't love any of them, except I really loved Ebony Maw, who was the Squidward one. I thought he was so good. The CGI on him looked, I might say, the best in the entire movie. Like, it looked like a real person
really good,
even like looked like prosthetics at times,
For sure.
Only thing that I didn't like was when he was like floating around on a brick tornado throughout New York City.
Yeah.
Did you see that? And I was like, what? That was another example of something I just thought looked visually bizarre.
Yeah.
I have these weird criticisms that I can't even justify. It's personal preferences.
They just bug me, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But yeah, so I think we've given it some talking. It's been an hour-long episode.
Yeah, it's so much for being short. I got to leave for Latin because it starts in 20 minutes.
Oh, good. Great.
So, but yeah, that was...
Get your Latin teacher's perspective on my video again.
Oh, there you go.
Film her and send it to me.
Exactly, definitely. 54 minutes, good talk,
Yeah. For those who don't know, here's the even bigger revelation. Drew, potentially, if all works out, will be editing the episodes from now on, because he's realized that the reason that I didn't want to go back to doing the podcast was because I'm so busy that I don't have time to edit it.
We did record a Last Jedi, or did we?
Oh yeah, did we? We recorded a Last Jedi episode? We did, yeah, and we never posted it.
We did.
Yeah.
You never edited it.
Oh yeah, I just Yeah, you're right. That's true.
Maybe solo we'll just release that one, Yeah. All of our thoughts have evolved, though. It'd be kind of outrageous. So anyway.
Right. Yeah. So I think we'll try to get this back to a weekly schedule.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be fun for sure.
I've really enjoyed finally getting back to this.
It might take a few weeks just because school's wrapping up and finals and all that jam, but definitely hopefully in the summer. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for coming back. If you are coming back, we don't know if we have any listeners.
Experience.
Yeah, I had someone from my online class yesterday say, when are you bringing Blockbusted back? I used to listen to that podcast religiously, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't know anyone listened to it.
I got several friends who said they've listened to like every episode and they want it back. So
that is good to hear.
Maybe people like us more than we think.
Yeah. So next week, I guess we'll just figure out something to talk about. Again,
next week something's gonna happen. Yeah.
No more predetermined topics. We'll just talk about whatever's on our minds, if you will.
Yeah,
as long as that works. Who's to say? So
looking forward to it, man.
All right. Are we doing this still? Say your catchphrase, Hitchcock.
Are we? Are we though? Are we?
Say your catchphrase, Hitchcock.
Keep on winging it,
Ah, classic.
Gotta love it.
What even is this, guys? Oh, I said it again. It's nostalgic. We'll see you later.